Okay, let's unpack this. I have a confession that led me right down this rabbit hole, straight to this deep dive. And I bet you can relate to this specific flavor of temporary insanity.
Oh, tell us everything. Sounds like we're starting with high stakes today.
So last night, I walked into the kitchen, and my partner had loaded the dishwasher.
Okay, that sounds like a good thing.
Well, yes, but not just loaded it, chaotically loaded it. I mean,
Oh.
bowls piled high, facing the wrong way, mixing metal and plastic.
Ah,
It was just organizational anarchy. And the instant I saw it, I went from 0 to 60. My entire body tensed up, my heart started pounding, and before I could even stop myself, this immediate aggressive question flew out of my mouth. What is wrong with you?
oof. Yeah, the universal post-meltdown shame spiral. You look at the situation, a few minutes later and think, it's just dishes. Why did I have that intense physical shaming reaction?
Precisely. About 10 minutes later, I was sitting there cooling down, thinking, what is wrong with me? Why do I feel so crazy half the time, reacting so strongly to, like, minor chaos?
Okay, stop right there. That specific internal question, what is wrong with you? That is the core problem we are dismantling today. That question, it implies a defect, right? A flaw in your character, a need for shame. And that's the belief we're hoping to replace with some actual science.
I really need that replacement because I think a lot of us feel that way when our emotional response just doesn't seem to match the trigger.
You're not crazy and you are not broken. You're simply wired by your history. Today, we are diving deep into a book that acts as a fundamental decoder ring for understanding human behavior, especially those 0 to 60 moments. It's called What Happened to You?
And it's co-authored by Oprah Winfrey, who brings all that lived experience, and the respected neuroscientist Dr. Bruce Perry, who brings the hard data on how the brain actually works.
And that pairing is exactly what makes this book so powerful. It's a total paradigm shift because it replaces that idea of, a personal defect with scientific understanding and really compassion. We are going to go into the literal basement of your brain to explain those intense reactive moments and, most importantly, give you the knowledge to stop beating yourself up over them.
Okay, let's jump right into the core premise, because this simple flip is the foundation of the entire book. It feels like the most important takeaway for anyone listening right now.
It truly is. So Dr. Perry argues that modern self-help culture, our psychiatric model, and frankly, our general self-talk.
Our inner voice.
Exactly. It's overwhelmingly focused on that wrong question, what's wrong with you?
When we see behavior we don't like, whether it's chronic anxiety, a short fuse, addiction, or, melting down over misplaced kitchenware, we immediately assume there's a personal defect. We internalize this idea that we're fundamentally broken or flawed or weak.
And that feeling of failure just locks you into this negative cycle of shame, which only makes the behavior worse. It does. Shame is just. It's corrosive. The book demands we completely flip that script. Instead of dwelling on what's wrong with the person, we have to ask the compassionate and scientifically grounded question, what happened to you?
So this isn't just about semantics. It fundamentally reframes shame as a consequence of your history, not some kind of personal failure.
Exactly. And this shift, it demands we look at the brain not as some static machine, but as what Dr. Perry calls a historical organ.
Historical organ. I think that phrasing is just brilliant. It captures so much complexity in just 2 words.
It is. Your brain is physically wired and shaped and structured by every single experience you've ever had. And this isn't just about big single event traumas, in the traditional sense, though of course those matter. It's often about chronic, sustained stress, neglect, unpredictable environments, or just chaos in the home when you were young. Your behavior today, that aggressive reaction to the dishes, is simply a functional, adaptive consequence of your brain trying to keep you safe in the environment it was trained in.
So the very adaptation that helped a kid survive a stressful, chaotic environment is the same one that makes an adult feel out of control when they see a pile of mess. The system is still running on old settings.
It is, and the science behind this adaptation is where we get the most power. It grounds the whole understanding in biology, not character flaws.
Okay, let's get into the layers of the brain, because Dr. Perry uses a fantastic analogy to make this really accessible.
He does. He describes the brain as being structured like a layered cake, or maybe a house built over time. And the fundamental structure is built from the bottom up.
And that bottom layer, the deep foundation, that's the one that really gets hijacked by stress, right?
That's the brainstem, often called the lizard brain. It's ancient, it's primal, and it cares only about immediate survival. It handles the automatic stuff: heartbeat, breathing, blood pressure,
And the fight or flight response.
and crucially, the fight, flight, or freeze response. It's the essential security guard for the entire system.
And then, way up on the top floor, we have what you call the logic penthouse.
Precisely. That's the cortex, the outer layer. That's where all the high-level processes happen. Reason, logic, abstract planning, complex problem solving. And yes, being able to rationally evaluate the importance of efficient dishwasher organization.
So if that's the structure, what happens when someone experiences chronic stress or, developmental chaos?
Yeah.
How does it damage the house?
See, it doesn't damage the house so much as it messes up the alarm system in the basement. If you grew up in an environment where things were unpredictable or scary or you were chronically unsupported, your brain didn't get to focus on developing that rational penthouse. It spent all its resources rewiring for hypervigilance.
Ah, hypervigilance. So that means the lizard is just constantly twitchy.
Exactly. It's perpetually scanning the environment for the next threat, the next sign of impending chaos or loss of control. So when it spots even a minor disruption like mismatched dishware, it reacts as if a predator has just walked into the room. It completely bypasses the pet house and just forces a defensive response.
Which brings us right back to my 0 to 60 moment. My intense reaction wasn't actually about the dishes at all.
Bingo. Your lizard brain registered the chaotic dishes as a loss of environmental control. It was interpreted not as a modern inconvenience in 2025, but as a biological threat. It triggered a deep, learned pattern of feeling unsafe from childhood. You were having a biological stress response, not a rational response to porcelain.
Wow. That distinction biological response versus moral failure is just incredibly validating.
Right.
It shifts the self-talk from I'm crazy and defective to my security system is overcalibrated because it learned to be.
And that reframing is key to lowering the shame. Now, if we understand that the brain is structured this way and that chaos immediately activates the basement, we have to talk about the most viral, most shareable, and most immediately applicable takeaway from the book, the 3 R's.
This is profound because it explains why so much of our common relationship and self-help advice just fails spectacularly. Like, how many times have you been deeply upset, maybe in a panic or a rage, and someone says, just calm down and think logically about this?
We all hear that, and our immediate impulse is to escalate the conflict, not de-escalate it. And Dr. Perry confirms that impulse is scientifically sound. That advice is biologically impossible.
Wait, really? Impossible.
But isn't understanding the problem half the battle? If I know I'm overreacting, shouldn't I be able to reason myself out of it?
That's the crucial misunderstanding. When the lizard brain is activated when you are fully dysregulated, you simply cannot access the penthouse of reason. Dysregulation just means your nervous system is offline, focused 100% on survival. Your resources are for fight or flight, not spreadsheets or rational thought. Trying to apply logic at that moment is like, as the sources describe it, trying to install new software on a computer that is currently submerged underwater. It just can't process the input. The processing power is dedicated entirely to survival, not critical thinking. That is a powerful metaphor.
It is. So to intervene successfully, either for yourself or someone else, you have to follow the sequential path of the 3 R's. They must be done in order, from the bottom of the brain up.
Okay, break down the sequence for us, starting with that first vital step.
First, you must regulate. You have to calm the physical body. This is the only way to signal safety to the brainstem. Logic won't do it. Physical input will. This means using rhythmic, repetitive action to soothe the lizard.
So what are some concrete examples of regulation beyond just, take deep breaths?
The book really focuses on rhythmic movement. Simple things like walking, rocking, running, or listening to rhythmic music. Humming, singing, or even just tapping your hands rhythmically on a desk uses the vagus nerve to signal safety. If you can just stop the physical pounding in your chest, you've achieved regulation.
Okay, so step 1. Soothe the lizard with rhythm. That is the foundational work. You have to get the body calm before you try to connect or solve anything.
Exactly. Then, step 2, relate. Once the physical body is calmer, the nervous system needs connection and safety to open up. If you're communicating with someone else, this means emotional validation before conversation. It's saying, I see you're upset. That makes sense. I'm here with you. It establishes security and trust.
You're building that connection before you demand rational dialogue. We skip this step constantly.
We do. We try to go straight from chaos to logic, and only after the body is regulated and the connection is established, can you move to step 3, reason. Now you can finally engage the cortex and talk about the actual problem, whether it's the dishwasher or a deadline.
I realize I've been trying to logic my partner out of being upset for 20 years. No wonder we fight. I mean, if you look back at conflicts you've had, you see we've been attempting to reason with emotional people backward our whole lives. We skip regulate and relate and jump straight to logic, which just makes the panic or the rage worse.
It's a profound, immediate game changer. Think of a common workplace trigger. You get a passive-aggressive email from a colleague that makes your jaw clench.
Oh yeah, and your heart starts pounding.
The natural impulse is to leap straight to reasoning with the email, or maybe relating to the injustice of it. Most people immediately type a fiery response while their lizard brain is screaming.
Yes, absolutely.
But the correct sequence, according to Dr. Perry, is, first, regulate. You put your phone down, you walk around the office, take a rhythmic drink of water, listen to a short song. Once your body feels quieter, relate. Acknowledge to yourself, I feel frustrated and attacked, and that's understandable. Only then do you sit down and ease in the raisin. Draft a logical professional email.
That clarity makes the process feel so much more accessible, even when the underlying causes are really complex.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the reading experience itself, because often books based on dense neuroscience can feel, well, they can feel dry, like homework.
This one is the complete opposite. It's one of the reasons it became so popular. The format is really unique. It's not a series of, traditional academic chapters. It's a literal transcript of a long, deep conversation between Oprah and Dr. Perry.
So it reads fast.
Incredibly fast. It feels like you're eavesdropping on two brilliant friends having this incredible revelatory discussion.
And the power of it really comes from Oprah constantly grounding the scientific theory with her own life. Huh? She brings this deep, raw vulnerability to it.
Absolutely. She does not hold back. She details her own severe childhood abuse, the neglect, the repeated physical whippings she received as a child. She provides the personal, emotionally wrenching context, and then Dr. Perry analyzes those traumatic events through this impartial yet compassionate lens of neuroscience.
And he doesn't just treat those events as pure damage, does he? He connects the adaptive mechanisms she developed as a child to the massive success she achieved as an adult.
That's maybe the most fascinating and hopeful thread in the whole book. Dr. Perry explains that because her early environment was so threatening and unpredictable, she was forced to develop an intense survival mechanism. She became hyper-attuned to reading the emotions and intentions of the adults around her. She had to anticipate their emotional shifts just to stay safe.
So that hypervigilance, that highly sensitive system, it actually became a professional asset.
Precisely. That profound sensitivity to other people's needs, their motivations, their emotional states, a sensitivity developed under duress, it became the core skill that made her so successful in media. Especially in those intimate one-on-one interviews, her ability to empathize and connect on a mass scale is a direct, though painful, reflection of her brain adapting to threat.
Wow. So the adaptation that was necessary for her survival became the skill set for her career. That reframes trauma, not just as an injury, but as a specific kind of adaptation that can be, acknowledged and eventually channeled.
It gives purpose to the pain. So who needs this book? We've covered that it's deeply insightful for everyone, but if you're listening right now, why should you prioritize this read?
I would say if you're someone who constantly beats yourself up for your own reactions, if you feel like you are too much or too anxious, or you frequently shut down or withdraw when you're overwhelmed, this book is essential reading.
It's more than a book. It's permission to forgive yourself. It helps you understand that you are not a failure of character. You are a complex, resilient product of survival mechanisms. By understanding the biology, you can start to remove the judgment.
It sounds less about needing a quick fix and more about thoroughly understanding your own complex operating system.
Yeah.
And that understanding is what allows for real, sustainable change.
100%. And while it deals with heavy subjects, it ends on a tremendously hopeful note. The brain is not fixed. It's remarkably plastic. It can be rewired, and you are not stuck in the basement forever. The 3 R's give you that practical, sequential roadmap you need to start the process.
The ultimate synthesis here is just the profound power of stopping that shaming, unproductive question, what's wrong with you, and replacing it with the curious, compassionate, and scientifically accurate question, what happened to you?
The goal ultimately is self-understanding and, most importantly, self-forgiveness. The book is What Happened to You, and we cannot recommend diving into these sources enough. And as you reflect on this and you consider immediate, small ways you can apply this knowledge today, think about the small daily triggers you encounter. Maybe it's the chaotic kitchen. Maybe it's traffic. Maybe it's a demanding text message. Before you try to solve the problem, before you try to reason your way out of the anxiety, focus entirely on that regulate step.
So instead of reaching for your phone to fire off a logical response to the trigger, take 1 minute to soothe your lizard brain. Tap your fingers rhythmically on the table, stand up and pace, or just hum for 60 seconds.
Apply that rhythmic intervention first. By doing that, you cut yourself some biological slack and you allow your logical brain a chance to get back online. You're not just being kind to yourself, you're following neurological protocol.